online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, Strain fans! We're in love with the lovely Coco Marchand. Folks, this is the Strain After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. If you were looking for something else, then get out! Because we're talking about the Strain Season 2, Episode 3,
anyway.
Fort Defiance. You can stay if you want, but we're talking about Fort Defiance. I am Matt Liberman. We got the whole panel here. Jacque Borowski's here. Zach Wilson is here.
I'm excited to talk about some Staten Island
stuff,
stuff,
we'll talk about Staten Island. And Mr. Stephen Lemieux is here.
Am I Mr. Stephen Lemieux or Mr. Stephen Lemieux?
What?
What?
I have no idea.
I don't know what the difference was there.
None.
Okay.
Go sit in the corner.
So, so far, this season of The Strain has been really, really good. Last year, there were a number of great episodes, there were a number of mediocre episodes, and some really not great episodes. This week's episode, not as strong as the last two. There's just a few instances of people not behaving at the top of their intelligence.
Yeah, there's a little bit of just this week, we need this plot to happen, so we're going to make these characters do it regardless of whether or not they would.
Right. Dumber than they are. Even like tertiary characters, like all of the police this week were all either slightly bigoted or just idiots. And it kind of blows my mind. Is this some sort of commentary against the police? Or is it just kind of sloppy writing, which, I feel like this show has gotten a lot better about? I don't know. That's just a personal gripe right off the top. Now, before we get started, the big thing that fans were blowing up Twitter about is the one and only Jacque Borowski.
Yep, so
who
true.
continues to be just a sullen buzzkill who literally tried to take a bus to Queens so that his vampire mother could find him again.
Because I feel like Mom misses me.
I'm sorry, even if your mom wasn't a vampire, you should not get on a bus to Queens in the middle of the night.
That's true.
If you're a 10-year-old.
That's true.
You're 10 years old, this is New York City, you get on a bus, and there's a plague outside, regardless of what you think your mom might do to you. Like, even if you think she's gonna not attack you, there's vampires everywhere.
Yeah.
I really hate Zach.
You just got
we
Good
hit the
weather.
timer, yeah.
Oh, okay. There's a timer in the studio and it just went off.
They were very mad that you'd...
Yeah, apparently it only took me 3 minutes in the show to say that I hated Zach, and that's what it was
And
celebrating.
there we go.
So we didn't like the fact that Zach. What is
Just
this?
turn it off.
Turn it off.
Just hit the button
Just
on the left.
rip
right
it
side.
out of the wall. All
There you go.
right, there we go.
So Zach
Rip
changed.
Zach out of the wall. Just throw him.
Hey.
We didn't like the fact that the actor for
straight.
Zach changed, and
Right, I had no problem with the old Zach. People complained about the old Zach, but I had never had a problem with the old Zach. New Zach, every line out of his mouth is
dumb.
a chore to listen
Maybe
to.
this is why he got recast, because we liked old Zach. And
Maybe.
they were like, we can't make him, we need to hate him for whatever's ahead for this character, so we have to recast him as Bully Zach.
well, in the
Bully
book
Zach.
he does. In the book, Zach does make this transition from sort of doting child to
Punk you want to smack?
to angsty teenager.
Right.
But it happens over time. It's not just like,
It's a gradual
this year
thing.
Zach woke up with a bug up his butt.
My mom got turned into a vampire, but I refuse to believe it. She didn't look like a vampire at all when she tried to bite me.
Well, I think it's not that. If we're really going to handle this maturely, it's just that Dad is trying to kill vampires. Mom is a vampire. Instead of curing Mom, you want to kill Mom. F you, Dad. Like that's basically it. Is like he can't grasp the fact that there's no way to bring her back.
I just can't stand it because the first thing that happened to Zach that was like a big instance in this show was freaking Kyle attacking him because he had been turned into a freaking vampire. Strigoi.
You mean Matt?
Matt, yeah, Matt. Sorry. Okay, Matt was turned into Strigoi. Obviously something was wrong if he's going to attack Zach.
Right.
And now his mom is one, and now he doesn't believe it?
Well, no, he believes that vampires exist. He's not a complete fool, but he doesn't understand or refuses to grasp the fact that it is irreversible. That's the thing, is the fact that she's dead and that she is something else, not that she is sick. Especially when his own dad, the person who's now trying to kill his mom, is the person who spent most of last season, or in the world of this show, most of last week and the week before, saying that they're just sick. And that's the thing. Is like we have to remember this is every single episode is basically a day. It's a lot of compressed time. And this
it's
kid
too much compressed time though for him to do a complete like 180.
Yeah.
I feel like there has to be some sort of growth, or maybe he would be as a kid like trying to reach out to someone or something else, like not just his mom, but like there's a whole team of people there. He wouldn't try and like talk to one of them.
Last season he was like suckling at the tit of technology, and we haven't even seen him go to a phone.
Where's his phone?
Yeah.
No phones.
Well, they reiterated in this episode that the phones are dead, so maybe
Didn't
it's
matter
like,
last time.
yeah, but at this point, like he's used to it being nothing.
It has the last thing. It's the only thing that connected him to his mom.
Well,
Yeah, and it has
regardless,
games on
They're
it.
making him two-dimensional. They're not giving him anything to do other than to come in and like throw a bunch of beakers around and be like, "Dad, you suck." Bye.
well,
Yeah, you're right. There's nothing. That's the problem. Is like we aren't upset with him for his actions, but we still want him to do something. All he's doing is making problems.
Yeah.
And like being whiny.
Well, I think that's you guys have just nailed it, hit the nail on the head, which is that Zach has been reduced from a character to an obstacle. Instead of having his own story that has weight, so far he's just been an obstacle in the way of F's journey to end vampirism. And that's a big problem. I think that the show will rectify this. I have faith in the writing staff. They know what they're doing. This is purposeful. So we have to give them more time to see where this is developing. Or, next episode they could kill Zach like Stephen is recommending.
I don't recommend they kill Zach. I mean, I think there's a good medium. I think the way to do it was have Zach run away again. Obviously, he's going to try to, especially after getting his face shoved into the glass shell, and Nora foreshadowing saying you can't win against his mother. I feel like when Kelly Goodweather finds their compound, Zach won't be there.
I could have sworn that in the next time on that we saw last week, it showed a scene of Zach getting captured by the feelers, and that never happened this week. Maybe that was just like really clever editing, taking an out of context scene and then F yelling Zach from when he was on the bus. But I could have sworn that we saw something
Probably
like that.
something along those lines.
They know how to edit to make it look like it's something it's
I do
not.
think though we intellectually are saying, okay, if this happened to me as a 10-year-old, like my mom was a vampire and these are the things, I would be upset. But what viewers are not responding to is they're not actually feeling the character as anything but just angry at dad. You need to have a scene where Zach himself is actually like having these emotions, especially because you cast him as a new actor. So you have to have that, because we have no connection to Zach at all right now.
That's
You're right.
a very interesting point.
Nothing is of his point of view.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten any. Last season, we got a lot of scenes from his point of view.
Right.
Nothing is from his point of view, and when you change it so drastically, we
And
need
it's
that.
not even the same actor. And so
Yeah.
it's like you don't make that connection where you're like, okay, well, Zach went through this last season, but you can't really think of it as Zach. It's hard to, because this is a different actor.
He hasn't talked through the logic of what he's thinking to
Yeah.
us. So
Right.
we're
Yeah.
just like, what is he? How
What
is
is he up to and why?
Where is his mind going for this to logically make sense to him?
I think these are very, very good points. Let's move on a little bit. We open this episode with Bolivar just lugging around like a small bag of master dirt, I guess, with worms in it, and the cops stop him. It's like, hey man, what do you got in that bag? And it's like they can't possibly be legally allowed. There's no probable cause.
They can't possibly really care that much
No.
with what's
I mean,
going on right now.
It's a military state, I guess, at this point. So there is there's a certain like based on what they like the state of the city that I think that they would have the right to search him.
Sure.
That being said, why?
And why get out of their car?
Hey, buddy, why you got a bag at 2 a.m? Hey, wait a minute. Aren't you that pop star? Bolivar? Wow.
I'm gonna continue to search this bag despite
thing-
recognizing you finally.
Yeah, and
The
it's
other
like...
thing is, isn't Bolivar like this world's equivalent to like a male Lady Gaga? Like, don't people just know who he is by looking at him?
Hey, don't you own this theater? Whoa. Oh, man. Police. It's... I don't know.
Even after they recognize that he should be there because he owns the place, like
Yep.
he is a well-known person.
They continue to search the bag.
Yeah.
Full of dirt.
Can I just point out that the black dude died first?
That also happened.
I would just also like to point out that most of the people who are in a non-executive position, all of the people who are the like blue collar kind of guys, they're all people of color.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, not all of them. The ones on Staten Island were not.
Yeah.
No.
No.
But
the mayor.
most
Anyway.
of the ones who were for Palmer.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
mayor isn't.
Okay, so let's talk about Staten Island for a second, because we were introduced to Councilwoman Feraldo last week. Fantastic new character, Samantha Mathis, love her. And she announces that Staten Island, coincidentally where Mr. Fitzwilliam, who's still alive, has returned to, that Staten Island is completely free and clear of vampires, which is awesome. Good
Is it
for her.
really though?
I don't know. I can't imagine that she's lying. She might not know. She might not be aware, but it's a pretty impressive statement. But then she has the chief of police and her nephew, and we get some clunky exposition about how her husband died in 9/11, and they reveal like a bunch of Strigoi with their heads decapitated, and they're gonna leave that up by the ferry terminal.
We're Staten Island. Come join us for our tourist
With
division.
Staten Island. F you.
My notes at that scene said WTF Justine.
You trying to take heads? We got heads for you. Trying
Yeah.
to get bodies? We got bodies
We got
for
bodies. Hey,
If-
you want blades? Oh, you better believe we got blades. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, look, bacterial plague. I don't want you to look at these bodies and no, bacteria. I want you to know you're not welcome here on Staten Island.
Hey, we all know bacteria wouldn't come near the Verrazano Bridge, am I right?
you. Yeah.
New York references.
Say a word.
Yeah.
If
He
you're
went Woody Allen
trying
there
to
for a
boost
sec.
morale
By showing dead bodies.
by showing dead bodies, that's
How quickly the audience was like, "Oh, you're murder!
Yeah.
Yay!"
Yeah, it's like, this is horrible. And then she's like, it's not horrible. And they're like, you're right. And it's
Oh,
just...
there was still some booze in there. I think it
Yeah.
was a mixed crowd.
By the way, cameraman in the audience that kept going back to the creepy-looking, disheveled cameraman going around, and I think we're gonna see those pictures making waves next episode.
Creepy, disheveled
see it.
cameraman.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
didn't
very
notice it.
quick, but if you look at it, every time it shows the audience, the point of focus is this guy who's walking around within the audience to different parts getting shots, and that's why every time they shoot it, it's from a different angle with the cameraman right there.
Interesting. I completely missed that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. I mean, it was a weird choice. Like, politically, like, people were booing because, like, yeah, these people were infected, but you're displaying innocent people's dead bodies. Like,
They're not
just,
people, they're monsters.
yeah, but logically, like, the people
They were
the
people.
families
They were
of
people.
those
Yeah.
people might still be alive and be like, you just put my dead mom's body like hanging.
It's like, this isn't The Walking Dead.
Decapitated.
Society hasn't completely fallen. Like, this is, it seems so extreme and so out of left field for the character that I felt like was established last episode.
Yeah.
But apparently this is who she is, and now the mayor has basically handed security of the city over to her, which is an incredibly radical move. And not radical in, like, the awesome.
I mean, it's difficult to see it from one perspective of, holy crap, they're already jumping to maiming in the streets and things like that and displays like this. But on the other hand, this is 2 weeks in and people are being murdered every day by these things. and it gives some sense of safety that you can kill these things. Because up until this point, like, people might not even know that you can kill these things.
Yeah, but this is so medieval. It's like the concept of taking your enemies and putting their heads on pikes, like, around the town to be like, look how strong we are. But in this instance, it's like those people didn't even technically do anything wrong themselves. It's whatever disease they had.
The problem is that it's not, what is it deterring? Is it deterring Strigoi from coming to the island?
They're not intelligent enough to understand that symbol. They don't have their own brain function. They are hosts to a disease. It's just a virus. The commands are very simple.
We talking about the Strigoi or the people who live on Staten Island?
Whoa.
not talk about people
Yo,
on
you don't want
Staten
to.
Island.
You don't want to anger
do
Staten Island
You wanna
folk,
do
man.
this? You want to do this? No, you don't. All right, before we move
Oh
on.
my god, this panel has devolved
I know.
so quickly.
We devolved into Staten Island?
Whoa.
Also, the mix of accents going on here is
Before
amazing.
we move on, really quickly want to mention iTunes because, folks, there is no better way to support AfterBuzz TV than to go to iTunes and rate and review the shows that you listen to or that you watch on YouTube. It is quick, it is easy, and it doesn't cost you a single solitary dime, okay? You go to iTunes, you search for the show, AfterBuzz TV, The Strain, boom, right there. Slap a 5-star rating on it because you love it that much. Maybe give it a little review ski. Why don't you? So that we know exactly how you feel about this show, and you get an amazing shout out right here on the show, okay?
We got Paul Twong says,
It's delightful, insightful, and engaging. Hooked from the very first minute, so much energy and super seductive.
fun and informative by Jerryers. I look forward to this podcast each week. Please do more Satrakian and Icarus impressions. Also, I love when you guys argue over F being the head of the CDC. See, he is the head of the
Not
CDC.
the head of the
No.
He's never been the
Stop.
head of the CDC.
Go
Never
sit in the
ever.
corner.
No.
This
I'm
episode
already-
really opened my eyes and poured liquid worms into them, and then they bled.
But
because
that's normal
that's
because I'm old.
Normal.
Look, they got a good magic to science ratio. My favorite hosts back together again. Great show like always. Zach. Hey, Zach. Did you see the Grimm reference in that scene with Satrakian where he's looking through the book and then gets frustrated? A swang was the first word and second sentence of the paragraph under the magnifying glass right before he threw the tantrum, calling it. All right,
You went from like Brooklyn into like
Eminem
gangster. Yeah.
Hello, Pina Colada says, big AfterBuzz fan, and this podcast does not disappoint.
Why Russian
Though, like,
now?
I'm Gus. I'm
That's not Gus.
That's not
He's
Gus.
fat, and he's only kind of Russian.
I can't say the same for the new kid playing Zach. He overacts every word out of his mouth. Pretty cringeworthy, but oh well.
It's like the pot calling the kettle black right now.
I know, that's great. Shows after fun start, by the way. Enjoy the one podcast host. My apologies, I forget who does it. That does Satrakian's voice so well. Thanks for the
It's
fun recaps.
two.
I think it's you.
I think it's you.
I think it's you, Matt.
Steven,
Great show and podcast. Walker Taylor 90. Really like listening to all the different ideas, and the panel is really hilarious and has great chemistry. Quick shout out to Matt. Every time I hear about them talk Master, my first thought is Doctor Who.
Oh, all right. Doctor Who After Show. You could watch it when it comes back in, 7 weeks?
September 19th.
Yeah.
And you know what? While you're going to iTunes and giving us a little 5-star review, you know what you can do? You can head over to Matt Liberman's Twitter.
What?
And you can buy a backpack.
That's true, because, folks, I designed a backpack for forhumanpeoples.com. And if you go to my Twitter or you go to forhumanpeoples.com, you can find my backpack, 12 Reasons to Stop Following Me, you weirdo. It's funny. It's covered in jokes that I wrote. There is an autograph signature on it. And it's only $40, which is cheap for a backpack.
I know, I paid $80, and then he dropped the price to spite me.
Just
Wait,
specifically
while
to
we're
spite you.
self-promoting, if you want to win $250, you can go to my Twitter and enter the t-shirt design contest for my other show,
Which is
which is Words, Wine, and Women.
Words, Wine, and Women.
With one of our other hosts, Tara
Which one
Johnson.
of our
It's a good show.
We
Check
don't
it out.
have any cool stuff to sell you guys.
Okay.
Just my body.
No. we're
Yeah,
not
that's
doing
for
that.
free.
Moving
All
along.
right. So Fitzwilliam, we didn't really get much movement on him. Just some bigoted cops.
But glad
And-
that he's back.
Fitzwilliam, what is that? Irish?
Yeah. Well,
What, you visiting your brother
his
or your
name
brother
is
brother?
Reginald Fitzwilliam.
So racist.
It's like so regal, his name.
Yes.
Reginald Fitzwilliam.
And we meet meet his brother, played by Kevin Hanchard of Orphan Black.
That's why he
Awesome.
was so familiar.
Yes, it is.
I couldn't. I gotta just ask about the cop though, because like
Yeah.
they're screening people to
Yeah.
like make sure they're not sick. Fine. Why is it Ellis Island where he's asking about this guy's ancestry?
It's the new Ellis Island.
It's the new Ellis Island, Zach. Staten Island is the new Ellis Island. You understand?
He's like he really wants to know his background.
What is that? Some kind of Irish? Huh? I'm a stereotype.
You know, I can tell that you don't have worms in you, but your skin looks a little less than white. Let me just give you some shit.
I'm not comfortable because you don't fit neatly into a stereotypical box that the
Yeah.
rest of us cops do.
Yeah. Your name sounds like a name that belongs to like one of my cop brethren. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we're gonna see some development on that front. I literally was asking if he was still alive 2 weeks ago. He's very much alive,
Told
and
you.
I guess he's gonna have more of a storyline this season, which is very exciting.
Yeah, they basically just like introduced him. Like
last
it was
year.
just like, well, I mean now they just were just like reintroduced, like, hey, he's alive, bye, and he has a brother.
You know what I'm excited about is the only connection between him and Coco Chanel is I can't
Coco
believe her name.
Marchand.
Oh yeah,
I wasn't gonna correct
The
you.
only time she's French is when she says her last name.
Coco Marchand. The only
Marchand.
connection between her and collectively the rest of the group could be Fitzwilliams, because she could look into who these people are, and he's the closest connection to Palmer. And if she connects to Palmer, and then the group with the head of the CDC and Satrakian
Not the head
connects
of
to
CDC.
Fitzwilliams, which in the scenes we see
Fitzwilliams.
Fitzwilliams talking to
Not with an S.
Satrakian.
Yes. On the next time on, we'll talk about that a
I
little
think
bit later.
Coco's gonna look up who Fitzwilliams was.
Fitzwilliam.
Fitzwilliams was.
Okay. So speaking of Coco, let's talk about the Coco, shall we?
I'm in
She
love
was a
with the
model.
Coco.
She was a model for 5 years, guys.
Just drop that in
she
there.
had a
And
lot of
she
opportunities.
Met so many bad men.
She
Oh,
straight
yes,
up
she did.
took the wardrobe from X-Files of Scully this episode.
Well, it's
If you
very professional.
Rewatch it. It's literally the
Deeply
Deeply
wardrobe.
professional.
professional.
But guys, she had a lot of opportunities to make mistakes, okay? And yeah, she could have, but she didn't. So explain the plot to her now, because she deserves to know what the plot of this show is.
Trust
and while
me.
you're at it, explain it to me.
I'm
Trust
sorry.
me, you don't want to know.
Yeah.
I do this to protect you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. How many episodes do you think that's gonna last?
Next episode.
Two
Next
at
episode, yeah,
most.
2 at most, probably. Yeah. So Palmer, he is getting extra security from the master in the form of Bolivar, who never makes an appearance during the daring break-in at the end of the episode, which is kind of bonkers to me.
We don't even see him in the little like safety room.
Right.
No.
He's not in the panic room.
Panic room, thank you.
Yeah.
He is a honey badger.
You don't give an F.
He don't give an Ephraim Goodweather. Very good.
Head of the
let's-
CDC.
So, not the head of the CDC. So, I read a review of this episode that made me really happy because they described F's alcoholism as like a Popeye comparison with spinach in the scene where he drinks a whole bunch and then he kneels down. He's like, "Listen, you," and it's just sort of like he puts on his big boy pants whenever
And the
he
master
drinks
is like the
vodka.
big beefy dude
Oh, Bluto.
I
who
want
took his wife. Oh my God! The master is Pluto.
This is
Guys.
all just a really weird adaptation
Of Popeye.
Of Popeye.
It really is. It's Popeye with vampires.
I'm quitting. I quit.
We're
Don't
from the head of the
quit,
CDC.
Jackie, come on.
I want to just bring up this question because maybe it's not the big logical flaw that it
Okay,
seems.
okay.
So they acknowledge and they reiterate in this episode that the master can see through
Yes.
the Strigoi eyes
Yes.
and everything.
Yes.
And he's watched them like discuss the whole plan and test things out. Once they release this Strigoi into the population, why couldn't the master just be like, "Don't go near that one.
Yep.
I know where he is."
My favorite plot hole was this because they make this big thing to do about how when he's talking to him and he realizes he's looking at Zach that he covers the thing, but I'm like, At no other point in this story have you shown that you have been covering these vampires to not see what's going on.
Yeah.
You only do it at the most inopportune moment.
I don't understand why you don't blindfold the vamp. You blindfold the
Or just
Strigoi.
gouge his eyes out. He doesn't
Sure.
need them.
Well, You don't need 'em.
They don't care where they are right now because they said they were blindfolded when they brought him in.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is he won't know, the Strigoi can't possibly see where they are, but as Zach was pointing out, know every part of the plan, know that Zach's around, and that he's angsty with Dad, and that you can drive a wedge between them, that he's obsessed with his mom, that a virus exists. Why wouldn't the Master just tell the Strigoi when they cut him loose to walk into the river and drown himself? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any... Well, they always say the Master can see through them. Does he say anything about hearing through them?
I guess they
Yeah.
don't. I don't know that
I don't
they
think
haven't. I don't think they have established that. I guess I assumed just based on the fact that he can hear and control them to a certain degree.
He can hear through them because when he mentions Zach, he looks right back at Ephraim.
Yeah. And also, how is the Master supposed to hear Ephraim's impassioned, listen you, speech if,
Fair point.
if he can't hear through
That's a
them?
good point. That's
Yeah.
a very good point.
Yeah. So it's exciting and kind of surprising that they already have a virus that works. It's only episode 3 of a 12-episode season.
My question is, how are they actually going to have one Strigoi infect other Strigoi? Strigois don't attack each other.
And they don't make out either.
Yeah, like, do they just have those pustules just explode and send worms into other Strigoi? But then do the worms actually try to go into other Strigoi?
Well,
Is it airborne?
I think what happens is, I am defending it to this point. Let's say a Strigoi who is infected feeds on a human who then becomes a Strigoi. Well, there you have the infection started, so it's spreading to every new Strigoi would have that infection.
No,
within
I
its
get
die.
that.
right, but they wouldn't spread it to other Strigoi unless the worms, now sensing that they are in a rotten host, a host that is no longer viable, would leave and go to another Strigoi that was healthy because it was a better chance of survival and feeding, which would then allow for transmission.
Yeah, that's true.
But then again, we don't really see, other than the Master, we don't really see any of the other Strigoi releasing worms.
So
necessarily.
we got to hurry up because we only got about 13
it's
minutes.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about Dutch and Fett, who have now, in a day, become basically boyfriend and girlfriend.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
I'm not trying to make fetch happen. It happened in a pool already. It happened in a pool last episode. It happened.
That's so fetch.
Yeah.
So amazing.
It's a ship name, if anyone
So
was
great.
unaware. So, Dutch. So Fett has, first of all, spread a bunch of vampire awareness signs all
are the
around Red
best.
Hook, Brooklyn. They're great. They're super. These are the ways that you kill a vampire. Awesome. People need to know. And he's obsessed with clearing out all the vampires in Brooklyn and keeping it contained to Manhattan, at least having a safe haven. So he wants to block off the entrance to Brooklyn of the subway system by collapsing a couple of columns.
Just a couple columns here. Just knock them out. No,
What accent is that?
it's just anything.
A couple of columns.
Stevish.
Yeah, it's Stevish.
He's an architect, though, so it makes
Yeah.
sense that he knows where to knock things out.
Yeah, but Fett gets really Dutch gets really distracted when she sees a poster of Nikki, her ex-girlfriend, who stole all her money and is probably dead. And she's like, whoever put this up, if it's not her mother, I need to know who it is. Because if it wasn't her mother, then that means that she was cheating.
This was dumb. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought this was really dumb. I thought this whole storyline was really dumb with Dutch. I mean, I understand that they're trying to make her character move forward to a place where she can be emotionally disturbed enough to leave the place so they can potentially capture her and have something bad happen. But it's just, she goes from being so smitten with Fett,
Fett, yeah.
and then immediately somebody she hasn't even mentioned or thought about for a while, she sees a poster and is like, oh man, nobody but her mother could have put this up. Who would have put this up? Well, obviously it was her mother then. So they go to her mother and we get this scene.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I would argue that like she has just been so distracted and busy dealing with a virus outbreak and vampires everywhere that yeah, this is like almost a different world. So you do sort of forget your past a little bit in that instance. It becomes this foreign thing that you don't even have to think about. You don't have time to think
She
about
left
it.
him at the gas station. I'd be like, screw that girl.
But I just mean like so much has happened between then and now that
It's
like I
been
could
a
see her.
week.
I could see her but because it's like going to summer camp. Like
Yeah.
your home life becomes a different world for a little
Absolutely.
bit. So I could see that. And then having it reintroduced, you all of a sudden it all comes rushing back. And seeing a picture especially is enough to do that. What I didn't get in this whole thing with Nikki's mom and Dutch is like, I don't understand what happened. Because like at first it was like I didn't agree, wasn't going to support this lifestyle, and it's not even about the gay thing. And it's like, but wait, what was it about? It was about paintings.
Listen, these paintings are so bad that they turn good girls into hooers and drugs.
How dare you use retro-modernistic cubism in your paintings? That is not a lifestyle I can support.
On a canvas that isn't even made of cow.
Is that what canvas is made?
No.
That's you're thinking of parchment.
I'm thinking of
Anyway,
parchment. Wait, parchment's paper.
No, parchment is animal skin.
Anyway, but what did I miss something? Like I don't understand what the paintings thing was about.
Okay, it was
just didn't.
it was a metaphor. I read it as a metaphor.
metaphor
okay.
for what?
So Dutch is like the artsy fartsy girl. She's pulling her into, and I think she just meant as Dutch's life has imprinted on her daughter. She dated her daughter, then they broke up, but Dutch kept her on a leash, like a short leash, basically keeping her in her life, like dragging her along. Dutch has always been one into crime. She's always been one who does things that are not necessarily with the law.
So it's not a metaphor. That's what Nikki always told her mother Dutch did. Is she's a painter. We're a part of the art world, and this is what we do. Versus she's a hacker and she gets all of her money by stealing.
Oh, okay.
So
Or
she
by
pulled her
performing
in the
hacking
world of
jobs.
crime and probably drugs, and her mother is like, you've imprinted her with your painting, whatever.
If it's drugs, I get that, and the crime, I get that. But the dialogue and the scene of the paintings
Was not
it was
great.
confusing.
Well,
it was overly confusing.
yeah.
The bad acting didn't help.
Who gets so
Sorry, I'm
over
sorry.
emotionally distraught about paintings?
That's what the thing is. Like it got real confusing.
But the other thing is, as far as like an overarching story, I don't understand, like, unless this is going to have some kind of point in the overarching story, I don't understand why they even put
It's
this
just
in.
it's just so on your nose foreshadowing of we're gonna bring her back.
Yeah.
It's like the most like the little thing
unsubtle.
like the we didn't need the scene with the mom. Honestly, just had her find that flyer and then wonder about who put it up.
And she could have still had that conversation with Fett about, because I do think there needed to be some conversation of like, oh, I'm a bad person, I've done bad things. Because I
Right.
feel like that is...
Because Fett is a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's screwing around with somebody who's done a lot of terrible stuff. And, I think it really is just, we're trying to establish, we need to throw some kind of wrench into their newfound romance. It can't just be blue sky. And we have to establish that she is not well and that she is distracted.
Yeah.
So
Not
we'll
distracted enough to unbutton his pants.
Giggity giggity goo. She sucks the life out of everyone that she latches onto.
Not distractian enough, perhaps. Not good. Okay, go and move.
Hey, none of those long words here.
Okay, so let's talk about Satrakian real quick, who dispatches a vampire walking around after dark, as you do during a vampire apocalypse.
Nails
Nail
him
gun,
right in the face.
Nails him right in the face, cuts his head off, and did anyone else just go, what's happening when he started pouring boiled vampire worm into his eyeballs?
Yes.
I mean, it's actually pretty standard in outpatient procedure.
No!
My eyes are old. They
I mean, as soon as he
bleed.
My
started,
eyes are old. They
as soon as
bleed.
he started doing it, I kind of figured that that's where this was going.
Yeah.
Because we know from Eldritch that it has healing properties.
Yes.
And
If
it
used
does
a certain way.
It does answer a question that like we've never really asked.
Gotten his
Like we never
age.
really bothered to think. Well, I mean, just thinking about the fact that he was alive during World War II, and we see how old he
Right,
was.
it's like,
during
how is it
the
possible that
Holocaust.
he's this active at 94?
Yeah, but it was
Right.
just sort of something. I think just because I'm sort of desensitized to that plot line because of like Magneto character,
Sure.
where you just sort of accept that he was in World War II and is also plenty alive
but
today.
he was also like he was a little boy.
Yeah, but like I just mean like he's
sure.
that old. So I didn't like. I just was like they wanted the World War II device, and it's just like I moved on. I'm glad that they addressed it because that is we're in 2015. Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a long time.
I'm just thinking, how did he find out that this is how you have to administer?
I have to think he was just getting really sick and desperate and just
had to try something.
I think he tried just destroying the worm basically to distill it to its pure just properties, which could have, like in theory, could have healing things. He probably tested it on blood or stuff like that,
Or-
and then
I
he
think
just had
this
to
is
take the leap.
based on his extensive research. He was
Yeah.
a professor, and he was doing research on the Strigoi because of Palmer.
Yeah.
We established that last week. And so I think that whatever research he's been doing, we have to assume that he knows almost everything there is to know about these vampires, except for what's in the Oculolumen.
Well,
So-
but he does have one page of the Oculolumen.
No, is it a page
Yeah,
of it?
It is a page of it. It was a photocopy of a page from the Lumen. That's what was established last week.
Oh, right,
And it
yeah.
could be that he received that information from the Lumen itself. And it's the one piece of information that he did have.
It's true.
Confirmed
I
information.
can see that.
Yeah.
It's good that I can put the solution in my eyes, because clear eyes really does a good number on them.
Yeah. It's very important when you get to be my age that you keep your eyes clear. So go buy clear eyes today, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get to enjoy some nice spaghetti and garlic bread when you get your second word. Ah.
Side effects may include bleeding eyes.
Yeah. So yeah, he and Nora now have like just a little bit of a connection. Let's just talk briefly before we have to wrap up, which we do have to wrap up very, very quickly. Gus and his fighting vampire training.
I would just like to say that I was so confused by the name Vaughn because in the books his name is Quinlan, so it's not even close to Vaughn. And I don't know why they changed that.
So this is technically spoiler territory
For the show going forward,
for the hypothetically for the show going
Hypothetically?
forward. There's a lot of people in the chat room are talking about it.
Okay.
There's a lot of theories
Is this
out
book
there that
spoilers?
because they introduced Quinlan so early, they changed it to Vaughn, and then we might get Quinlan later. So like the character of Quinlan might still be a thing that, but because they brought in the Daywalkers so early in season 1, they needed to oust a character to bring in somebody new.
Interesting.
I will say that it feels weird. It feels weird to lose these characters,
So
like the
early.
Daywalker characters, so quickly. Like we're so early in the show. I don't see how we like there. I don't know if there. I assume there are more.
Yeah. There's got to be more.
This
But
plot
like,
line.
but Gus is supposedly more important than.
Well, they need to have someone who actually can walk out during the day and doesn't have the same weaknesses that they do. It's,
Right.
it's vital to them. And
Yeah,
also
yeah.
as bait or a distraction sometimes. Like, he
Yeah.
plays a lot of roles for a fleet of vampire hunters.
Maybe it's like gonna be like Beer Fest and Landfill. It's like, oh yeah, my twin brother that's an exact identical twin died. I'm just gonna replace him. You can go ahead and call me Vaughn anyway, though.
Such a weird pull.
What's interesting though
reference.
is this plot line is a plot line that happens like towards the like middle to end of the second book. So having it happen so early and it doesn't involve Gus and or Von Quinlan. It's with F. So it's so weird to me because now I'm like I guess they're speeding up the story plot line, but I don't exactly know where they're going with this because they just killed a bunch of characters that I was like,
Interesting.
I don't
I mean, I always like when they tried stuff out, like
Yeah.
between books and TV. It keeps
Yeah.
everyone guessing. It's like room to like once you've seen how something unfolds, you can go back and like be like, that didn't really go the direction that I think it could have. Let's go this way.
We have 2 minutes, and I just have to say, why the hell didn't they put their hoods on? We have to get into the place where Palmer kills everyone.
Right.
And I'm like, guys, it's just light. You're standing in light all the time. You have clothes that's prepared for light. Just put your hood on.
it's true. We've seen them in the daylight because of their outfits.
Right. I guess just like once you're getting hit with it, the pain is so intense that it's difficult to function and to think about pulling a hood on. But I feel like, why wouldn't they have been trained for that? Like, I feel like that's
trained for it. We see that they go through some pretty intense training regimens just because of what Gus is going through.
Right. And
why wasn't it just
they don't all get hit with UV at once. Once they see the first UV light, you know, one guy maybe gets torched, but you immediately throw that hood on.
Just dive through it.
Plus, there is like a desk in that room and chairs. There's stuff to hide under as well.
Yeah. Well, regardless, that's done. Cat's out of the bag for Coco, and we're gonna get a lot of fresh developments next week.
And then Gus leaves, and where the hell was Bolivar?
I don't know. Where the hell was Bolivar? Maybe we'll find out next week. Let's do some predictions. Real quick round of predictions. For me, I think they're going to discover that transmitting a virus is harder than it looks. That's my one prediction for next week. Jackie?
I can't do predictions.
Okay, Zach?
We're gonna find Gus is gonna go back and find a new team of Daywalkers, or have to go find new people to become Daywalkers.
Interesting.
Dutch gets taken next episode.
Okay.
I'm going to say that she sees her girlfriend as a Strigoi and gets kind of loopy in the head.
Fett already took her.
Yeah. Dutch gets taken next episode, and the whole nesting thing, the Master's using their plan against him.
Super. Okay, that's going to be our show for this week. I hope you enjoyed it.
I hate Zach.
Please leave us a like
Not
on the
you.
YouTube page. Leave us a rating and review on iTunes. Jacque Borowski, where can the people find you?
123jackieb.com.
Okay, and Mr. Zach Wilson.
At that Zach Wilson, ThatZachWilson. Be sure to tune in right in like 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. We're going to be live with the showrunner of Dominion, Von Wilmot, for
The Dominion
After Show.
Yeah.
Me and Jackie.
You can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux, StephenLemieux, and bleeding out of my eyes as I get older.
Yep, it's perfectly normal. And folks, you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman, MattLieberman, buymabackpack for humanpeoples.com, SourceFed Nerd, and Matt Lieberman on YouTube. Thanks so much. See you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bite you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.